Hey there, welcome back. I have a very special guest with me today who I am so excited about. I'm so grateful that she's here. Her name is Romy Toussaint, and she's the energy queen. And well, I can see why she's called the energy queen for a couple of reasons. Number one, because first off, her energy is fantastic. She has this bright, beautiful energy that you just can't help but you feel it right away when you're in her presence. Also, she's called the energy queen because this is how she helps people. She helps people manage their energy or to tap into their energy so that they can live their most vibrant lives. So she's going to tell you more about what she does, but I just want to introduce her by saying that the reason I was so drawn to Romy and her work is because it's so aligned with the work that I do. We are really working towards the same purpose, and that we want people to feel like their most energetic, their most vibrant selves. But we do it very different ways. I'm using clothing and style, and I'm going to let Romy explain how she does it. But just to kick us off, first off, Romy, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be with you. I really am.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a really great conversation. So I just want to start off by asking you, well, one of the ways that our work is so aligned is that we both want to help people. We want people to be able to match their insides to their outsides, right? So we want them to tap into who they are in their truth and express that in their lives and in their worlds. Now, of course, I do this using clothing, and I would love to hear, how do you do this? How do you help people match their insides to their outsides? Explain that to us, please.
Yeah, so I believe that, every single one of us has a work to do in the world. We are like a passionate, we have a mission. And one way for us to express that is to have the kind of energy, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual energy, to have that aliveness, to bring that work outward, right, out into the world. And so if we don't have the physical energy to get up and physically move, like just as we are right now, we're not going to be able to do our work. So I give people tools so that they can manage that energy, so they can maximize it and be able to just physically get up and do their work, have the mental capacity and focus to do their work, and also be able to tap into that spirit so that they don't get tired or worn out, and they can do like all the work without being tired. And so that's what I do. I show them tools, ancient tools, married with modern science, so that they can really hone in their habits and have great energy to show up every day vibrant and alive.
This is so beautiful. Well, first of all, what you do with your work is beautiful and how you help people. But also, what I love is the way you believe that everybody has a purpose, that we're all here for some special reason. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing, because I know in talking with some people feel that they're confused by their purpose. They don't really know what their purpose is. And so what I'm hearing you say is that part of it is just tapping into your energy that's going to help you bring out your purpose and become more connected to what you're supposed to do in the world.
Absolutely. So when we have access to our physical energy, we have access to that bliss body, right? That spiritual body, that if it's covered up by toxins and weight and physical and emotional weight, ama is what we call in my work what is undigested, right? So if we have like undigested food, undigested conversations and emotions, we kind of get stuck and we're bound and we're unable to really spring to life and show up and have clarity about what we want to do in life and what our mission is. And so people think that, this mission thing, this purpose is something like big, right? It could be that my mission in life is to be the very best mom or the best grandmother or the best stylist, right? In my world, in my small world right here, being that little fish in my town. And so if we can all tap into that which brings us excitement every day, and we're excited about it, then we can do that work in the world.
You mentioned your work. In my work, you said. So I know that you have some teachings and lineages that you've worked with. So could you please tell us a little bit about some of those? Like where are your trainings and what are your specialties? What are the areas that you work in?
Thank you. Yeah. So I've been a yoga teacher for almost gosh, 25, 30 years now. And through yoga, I learned about Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is a sister science of yoga. And it's really the science of life. It's the science of how can we be in rhythm with nature, because we are nature. So how do we manage our days and our life and our nutrition so that we're prioritizing sleep? We are eating really natural, great foods that will, for our body type, so that we're nourished physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. How do we prioritize exercise, right? Breath, body movement, and time in silence, prioritizing eating nourishing foods and choosing ease in our lives, right? So those are all little habits, daily habits that I teach people in small ways so that they can show up vibrant all the time. And so they're easy to apply habits that are not complicated. It's like, how do we prioritize sleep? Because sleep is when we process our nutrition that we get right throughout the day, so that we wake up energized and focused. So small things like that we apply on a daily basis so that we can thrive.
What would you say to somebody who, okay, so I know in my work with clothing and style that a lot of things I hear from women is, they put on their clothes, they get dressed for the day, and then they see themselves and they're like, that's it, that's the best that I can do. So there's this sense of they're not quite living in the fullness of their potential. And the way that I see a lot of this showing up is with women who they're playing it safe. They're playing it safe because they don't want to take risks, because there's a lot at stake, right? When you're getting dressed, if you're going to try new ideas or wear new colors or wear new clothing, there's the risk of looking ridiculous and feeling bad about yourself. So I understand why women want to play it safe, but I also believe that this becomes the habit. The habit is something that they practice. They start practicing playing safe or staying within this certain zone of comfort as opposed to stepping outside of it. So in your work, when you see or you hear people say things like, this is it, this is all there is to it, why do you think that this is showing up for them? And what would you say to someone who's experiencing that?
The first thing that comes to mind when you say that is you don't know what you don't know. Right? It's like you don't know how good you can feel until you have practiced doing it, until you've tried something, like you've tried eating something that's light, or you go out for a walk in nature, and all of a sudden you're connecting to the sunlight and the trees, and you get personally energized and you come back motivated. So you don't really know what you don't know until you try something. So that's why I love to give people tiny little steps, right? To like eat an earlier and lighter dinner, and to go to bed not feeling full and you're having like agita, and to wake up energized because you prioritize moving your body, and then you have more energy for the rest of the day. And all of a sudden you're doing more than you thought you could. You are present with your life. You're present with your spouse, your children. You're able to create. I think people don't know that because they're used to the status quo. They're used to waking up tired and unclear. They're used to like the multitasking, which gets them nowhere. They're used to having so much on their plate and saying yes to everything and not really owning their full body yes, right? So that they're really doing the things that give them pleasure, the things that are in their mission. So I say, try something new, right? It's like you saying, put on this red scarf right now and notice how your face lights up, right? And then you naturally want to do more, right? You just feel like yourself. I think we've forgotten our energetic self, and we're used to the status quo of just like dragging ourselves around. And I love to wake up and go, oh, what can I do today? How much fun can I have today doing all the things that I need to do? So that's my answer to that. Is like, we don't know what you don't know because we're used to the status quo. We're used to getting up and feeling tired, and we're dragging around. And it's nice to just have the energy to show up and bounce around and, go hiking with your grandchildren and get your work done and still have time for fun. I think that's my answer.
Yeah, so we don't know what we don't know. That really clarifies it so well, because we don't know what it's going to feel like. We don't know how it's going to be if we've never tried it before. So to just take that small, tiny step and try something new, it could be game changing for the way people are feeling and showing up in their lives.
Absolutely. And like begets like, right? Like likes like. So if you're starting to feel good, you want to feel better. So, and prioritizing sleep and getting 7 to 8 hours and waking up like without the alarm clock and feeling energized and eating food that makes you feel light yet energized, you're like, I want more of that. And so I think when we add something small, it's just magnetizes everything, magnifies it all so that we can have more energy and more space and more time so that we can do what we want. I think
Yeah.
people have forgotten too, Elysha, we forget, like we used to have this type of energy as we age or as we've gotten used to the status quo, we forget what it was like to feel vibrant and to look and feel great.
Yeah. And sometimes we just really need to slow down to remember this. And it really brings up my next question, which is about intentionality versus reactionary. So, for example, to be intent, I would love to actually hear from you. How would you explain the difference between being intentional versus being reactionary? And the reason I bring this up, because I think that for so many people, we've just gotten into those patterns of being reactionary, and it really just takes a little bit of intentionality to shift things. So can you please explain the difference and the way that you see people experiencing this?
Yeah, so the way that I see this is I go back to this idea of being present. And the way that you're present, which is like my gift to the world, is to tap into 3 things that are inarguable: our body sensation, our feeling, and our thoughts. These are 3 things that no one can argue with. No one can argue that you're feeling like tight around your chest, or you're feeling openness and joy, or that you're feeling fear. So you can feel this emotion in your body even before you know what the feeling is. And so our feelings of fear and sadness and anger or whatever it is not arguable. And our thoughts are not arguable. So if we can be present to that in any moment, anywhere, we can tap into that. So like if someone says, ask you to go somewhere, oh, do you want to go to the movies with me? I take a moment to check in. What's my body sensation? What's my feeling and my thought? Do I have a openness that's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go with you and I'm excited? Or am I like feeling like, ooh, a little tense because I was going to be doing some work and I didn't really want to see this movie anyway, but then I didn't speak my mind and I went, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go. And then it's like, there's resentfulness and I'm not joyful. So I think speaking from presence, showing up in presence and really tapping into our 3 inarguables, our body sensation, our feeling, and our thought, helps us to be really intentional with decisions, big and small. So when I show up in this beautiful sweater here, like I feel like open and like there's like energy, right? And I feel joyful and I'm like ready to be here, right? And I feel like my presence really reflects who I am, but if I'm not like, so for me, that's the intention. Like, how are we showing up intentionally? And how does that intention help us to have the right reaction, to speak our truth all the time from presence?
I'm not surprised, but I have a very similar method working with my clients when it comes to deciding what to wear, right? If you're trying something new, right? If you've built up the courage to try something new and then you put it on, the way you explained it was so beautifully. The way I explain it to my clients is to tap into your body and let your body tell you which way to go with that decision as far as, should I wear this or not? When you put a new sweater on, if it feels tight and restrictive, like literally like you can't raise your arms, or just more figuratively that it feels uncomfortable and your body is shrinking and contracting, then your answer is no. But when you feel open and expansive and alive, then you better put that sweater on and you should wear that. So exactly. I love how aligned we are with this.
Yeah, Elysha, I have another comment on that. I think so. What's wonderful is that people have tapped into that because you've taught them, like, this color looks great on you, or this style is great on you. And what I teach them are the habits, right? So that they will feel good from on the inside as well. Like, when you eat this way or at this time, or when you move in this way, you're already accessing that which helps you to tune into your body's intelligence. right? It doesn't block your access to your intelligence. Your food that you eat opens up your access to your intelligence so that it's right there and you can access it right away. So I just wanted to add that part of how you help them figure that out.
Yeah, thank you. And so what I'm hearing is that how important it is, or how amazing it can be to have someone like you with your expertise to give them these tiny habits and to give them these guidelines so that they know which direction to start their path, to start moving forward. And then ultimately the decisions and the intentionality are going to come from their own person, from their own body, their own self. So
Yeah.
my question for you is then, do you believe that people can change? Like, talking specifically to someone, let's say she's in her midlife. Do you believe that people can change when we're already this far along in our lives, in our ways of being?
Absolutely. It's never too late to change. And we actually, especially as we age, I think there's this incredible wisdom that we're able to tap into, this resilience that we've built over years. But change is a habit. It's not really willpower. It's science. It's the science of how do we change. And we change by doing small steps. Many of us, we like jump into these, this diet, or we're going to go jump into this new style. We want to give ourselves time, right, to start small so that we don't fail, and make small changes over time so that we get the bigger, more permanent change. So if we start small, so let's say we were trying to change our habits around going to bed early. If we're going to bed at 11 o'clock every night, the first week we're going to go at 10:45. Let's just take 15 minutes earlier, and then maybe take 2 weeks, and then the next week add another 15 minutes, so that it's small, it's doable. It doesn't take us into this extreme space where we just fall off the bandwagon because it's too much. So small Kaizen steps is a great way to start making small changes, which will result in catapult huge changes as much as we want to. So it's really science, and it's coaching, and it's being surrounded by the people who really support you to do that. And that's how I help people. Small change, great coaching, and a dynamic group that really holds you and supports you to have that success.
And I can talk from my own personal experiences in making small changes with tiny habits. When you experience that taste of success, like, yes, I actually did this, like whatever it is, like, yes, I went to bed at 10:45 and I woke up the next day and I felt better. That is the inspiration or the motivation that keeps me to keep going. It's by tasting those tiny wins that gives me the encouragement, like, oh, I can do this. I can really make this change happen.
Absolutely. And you want more, right? You want more of it, right? You have a positive thing that's happening, and your body wants more of it, your mind wants more of it, and your spirit wants more of it. So it's contagious, and you just stack your habits on top of one and another. So yeah, it's a great science that works.
So what would be the first tiny habit or the first step that you would recommend to somebody? We're in a very busy time of the year right now. People might feel like they're being pulled in all directions. We've got a new year coming where people like to think about how they want to live a better life or improve themselves. What would be one small step or one tiny habit or one small change that you would suggest that would make a great first step for somebody?
I would say that it's just take a breath and sit in silence for a moment. Just like take a breath, like just this simple breath gives you access to your body, give you access to calming your mind, and then just sit in silence. Like set your timer, set your watch for like 1 minute. Just sit in silence, close your eyes, take a moment to connect to your breath, and just be still. This is such a busy time of year where we have so much to do, and there's so much out there that's coming in. To take a moment to go inside of yourself, to connect to your breath, to your body, is magical. And it really begins that catapulting feeling of wellness, of groundedness.
I'm definitely doing this. That is such a great, such a doable task, right?
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
all about getting things done. So if I can just set my timer, try it once and see how it goes, and then maybe I could even move up to doing it 2 times a day and just see where that takes me. But just that feeling when you have that sense of groundedness and connection to your mind, to your body, to your soul, that's the feeling that I want to have as I move through my life. And I see how you really support people in doing this and achieving that feeling, that clarity, that motivation, that inspiration, that vitality. So Romy, I know that the people who are watching this, who they're going to want to know where to find you. So, well, first off, I just want to mention, I was going through your website. So I encourage everybody to definitely go to Romy's website, because she's got some really great information and also some really beautiful videos to watch, because Romy leads retreats. So if you want to take a little escape just to watch somebody else in Peru or to see where she's going, and I know you've got one coming up that I want you to talk about. So yeah, so just tell us, where can we find you and what's coming up for you?
Sure, you can find me at Romy Yoga, ROMYOGA.com. You can also reach me at ROMYOGA@gmail.com. I love creating time when people get to go inward, and I do that on daily hikes, but I have several retreats coming up. There's 2 are sold out. I'm going to Egypt in January and Costa Rica in February, but Kenya is open. We'll be going to Kenya on a safari and just being out there, just watching nature and being in the elements. We'll be doing some yoga, and you'll have lots of time to wander and really connect with yourself, but also to connect with other people. My main program that I do, though, is I teach people these habits, and I do it through a year-long immersion, because it takes time to slowly stack these habits so that you can really own them, learn about them, get really great with them, and then master the habits so that you can go freely on your own. So I would love to have you reach out to me and tell you more about how I can help you just be great. So thank you for having me, and I would love to have people join my retreats, I'll take you over the world and see what else there is to see.
I mean, it just sounds fantastic to see what else there is to see with you guiding. Just sounds amazing. That energy is probably off the charts on your retreats, I can imagine. And I'm sure your program, just to have that constant support is just such an amazing offering that you have. So Romy, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. And I know we're going to do our own daily hike at one of these days. I'm going to definitely hold you to that, because that sounds really fun. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. You've really brought my energy up, and I just really appreciate what you do for people to really help them to show up in their essence, from the inside and on the outside. And then we're just making the world a better place. And I just really appreciate you helping me to show up in my essence as well. Thank you.
Yeah, your essence is beautiful. So I'm so grateful you're here. And to everyone else, thanks so much for joining us and watching us. And be sure to go check out Romy's website. I'm going to put all the info below, so you'll just be able to click and go. So that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.